Hi, welcome to the ninth article of the discrimination in the labor market course, which is part of the lecture series prepared for the gender economics course and for the Middlesex University Northern Cyprus campus. And last time we have seen an experiment to basically detect the gender discrimination, and basically the experiment had randomly assigned black and white names to the CVs with high and low quality. I mean, the names and the CVs are assigned, as I said, randomly. And then four of those CVs, one with black, one with white name, two with black, two with white name, two with high, two with low qualities, are sent to different ads given in the newspapers, basically. So the weaknesses of the study, first, of course, it doesn't test what will happen inside of the interview. It just tests the calls, basically, the call to the interview. Although, of course, when you are this number of black people are called to the interview, probably this number of black people will be hired. Then names, black sounding names, white sounding names might actually have different effects, different type of impact on the people. I don't know, maybe some black sounding names might also occur as Massimo, although that could be a different type of discrimination. But also, I mean, this is something actually to some extent the authors have also addressed by assuming maybe the names might be related by them employers to the education level of the parents. I mean, maybe certain names are given by relatively less educated parents and some bit more educated parents. So that possibility is another weakness, and the third possibility is, of course, it is responding to newspaper ads. So the jobs that are giving newspaper ads might have a special characteristic. I mean, a certain the results for those ads might not be true for results that are for the jobs that are presenting themselves in different ways, for example, by job fairs. Still, of course, at least for the jobs that are presenting themselves, that are giving advertisements to newspapers, I mean, if the result is true for them, at least we can say there might be discrimination for those type of jobs, at least. So what are the results? The bulk results are here. You can see them. May I make them larger? I can make them larger. Okay. So equal treatment, no callback. 83% of them are not called. 83.9% have favored white. 5.5% have called only one white back out of 4, and 1.44 two whites, 1.36 two whites, and one black. By the way, 3.48 have called one white and one black back. 1.28% have called two white and two black back. Only 3.48% have favored blacks in different ways, like the white case, called only one black, called two blacks, called two blacks and one white. In general, we can see actually the possibility of the whites being called is more than twice higher than the black people. So that's our starting point. At least here we can see a general discrimination. These are resume characteristics, and you can see how they are distributed. I won't go into detail that. You can look to that if you want, but just these are kind of different things that are that might be giving that can be giving making a CV more high quality CV, like special skills, computer skills, honors, work in school. Employment holes is the case when there are certain periods where you haven't worked and you haven't gone in school and you haven't done anything. Military experience, volunteer experience, years of experience, college degree, all of these things are actually making a CV, high quality CV. Although they don't make the CVs overqualified, so they limit to high quality level based on the jobs that are that they can find. What about the difference between the high quality and low quality CVs? Well, for the whites, 8.5% of the low quality CVs got a callback. High quality CVs get a callback 10.79. So 2% higher, although that's more or less around maybe 25% higher in general. For African Americans, low quality CVs are actually getting 6.19 basically, and the high quality CVs get 6.70 well, in terms of callbacks. Well, in case of blacks, the ratio is much smaller, basically. Well, these are actually the numbers here test whether the difference is significant or not statistically, and in case of black, it has very little statistical significance. In case of whites, it has kind of more statistical significance, but not that much again. And then they have made a more complex regression, which they described below. Here it's just pure numbers, I mean, based on the way they described high and low quality CVs, while in the other one they look to different characteristics, how the feedback to those characteristics come forth. And they have also checked, they have also have several control variables, use several control variables here to separate the effect of those variables from quality of the CVs. And now the difference for the white people is 6.42, while for the African Americans it is 3.23. So now in case of blacks you have more calls, but still in case of whites, both percentage white and in terms of the absolute value, I mean the value is the effect of having a high quality is higher, and as you see in case of white people, the statistical significance is also very high. In case of blacks, it is pretty high, but still doesn't pass the 0.011% test at least. Anyway, so the returns to investments, human capital investments in case of black people seems to be less than the white people, according to this result also. And here you see, I don't go into detail that how specific characteristics are affecting the possibility of being called back for white people and the black people, and on average, basically. Well, these are zip code characteristics. Well, how are the zip code characteristics affecting? I mean, the addresses affecting the black and white people. Well, for these results, you can read the results, but mostly, as you see, and there actually look different characteristics of the zip codes, the fraction whites, fraction college or more. I mean, how many? What happens if in a certain place more white people live, more college educated people live, and per capita income is higher, and how different these different things are affecting in general the possibility of being called back, and then also possibility of called back. I mean, this is where they have just tested the general effect, and then they have add 3 different effects. I mean, they test the effect of the zip code, African American, having an African American name, and zip code characteristics times the African American name. They combined effect. As you see, I mean, either the effects are very small, or here we have a large effect, but statistically, it is statistically not that much significant. You can see the details in this part of the article, but since it's not that much statistically significant, I'm passing this. So addresses don't have that much effect. That's the main thing on the likelihood of being called. Again, you can see how different characteristics are actually affecting, and how different type of, let's say, jobs, in different kind of jobs, the effect of being African American is more or less important, as well as the address. But I'm passing these are details. One interesting part is actually where they have looked to the potentially the way the names might have a different effect, and as I said, they have tested the mother's education level for different names, and well, these are black names and these are white names, but in both cases, if we can say the mother's education level of the people who got that name is when it is low, if the likelihood of being called is low, the names are also, we might say, also associated with the parents' background. Maybe is this so? Well, for example, in case of African Americans, the lowest education level of the mothers is for the name Leroy. The likelihood of being called is 9.4. It's actually second highest number, and the highest number is also very low likelihood for the mothers of being called. Very low mother education level for the mothers. Why the highest education level for the mothers is for the name Rashid, and well, it has the lowest callback ratio. This is for the males. For the basically white males, again, well, this is, for example, 96.7, 96 basically are the highest education level. I mean, the highest education level is for the name Brandon, but you don't see any particular effect. And this is, for example, 85.4 is one of the lowest J, and you also don't see any effect. What about the woman? In case of woman, you see the same thing. I mean, for example, this is the lowest 80.7 Carrie, but very high call rate. And 96.6 Emily, very low call rate. So the and 31.3 lowest one, Latonia, very high call rate. So mother's education level is basically not related. This was the last one. And maybe the conclusion of the article is, well, we have both the parental education and address as unaffected variables. And if names are associated with something else than rate, it's certainly not the parental education, at least. And at least the results show or don't reject the thing that black people are significantly discriminated, at least for the type of jobs that are subject to of the article. Plus, they got less returns for their investment levels, human capital investment levels, or education for investments in skills. Let's say if we don't use human capital, we could use investments in skills useful in the labor market. Anyway, now we have one article left. Hopefully, next part will be the last part. And that article is on the sexual orientation and discrimination. So the basic logic of the article: discrimination faced by the people in non-heterosexual orientation may be more complex than the discrimination created by gender and ethnic differences. The empirical evidence shows that discrimination does exist in case of non-heterosexual men. The results for non-heterosexual women is, however, not clear. So we will see the detail of this article in the next part. See you in the next part.